Stop everything right now. Turn off your trading screens. Close those charts. What I'm holding in my hands is not just another market report. This is a leaked compliance document from inside Brink's global vaulting services that will destroy the silver market as we know it. Yesterday morning, January 12th at 2:43 a.m., a whistleblower inside Brink's sent encrypted files to precious metals auditors worldwide. The document I have contains one sentence that ends 200 years of trust in physical silver storage. That sentence reads, "Physical inventory audit reveals 350 million troy ounces reported as stored or not physically present in any Brink's facility worldwide." Let me be clear what this means. Brink's is the world's largest precious metals vault operator. They store 1.2 billion ounces of silver for ETFs, billionaires, pension funds, in 8 different countries. When you buy allocated silver, when sovereign nations store reserves, when ETFs claim physical backing, most of that silver sits in Brink's vaults in London, Zurich, Singapore, and Delaware. And according to this leak, 350 million ounces that should be sitting in those vaults simply doesn't exist. It never existed. The bars were never there. The inventory records are fiction. Brink's has been running a fractional reserve scam and it just got exposed. The document explains exactly what happened. Between 2019 and last month, Brink's management made a calculated bet. They noticed that 73% of customers who pay for allocated storage never actually request physical delivery. These are ETF holders, long-term investors, institutions that just want the metal stored safely. So Brink's decided that keeping 100% of the silver physically present was inefficient. Why store metal that nobody will claim? Instead, they kept about 71% of declared inventory actually in the vaults and recorded the other 29% as if it was there. They figured they could rotate inventory between facilities during audits to make everything look legitimate. This worked perfectly until December 2025. That's when industrial buyers suddenly demanded massive physical deliveries from manufacturing. Solar panel companies, electronics manufacturers, defense contractors all needed silver immediately. These delivery requests hit multiple Brink's vaults simultaneously across different countries. Brink's tried their usual trick of moving bars between locations to cover the requests, but there were too many demands at once. Vault managers started telling customers there would be delays due to logistics issues. That's when Lloyd's of London, Brink's insurance provider, got suspicious. Lloyd's insures $340 billion worth of Brink's operations. When they saw delay notices piling up across multiple continents, they ordered emergency surprise audits at 14 different Brink's facilities. The auditors expected maybe a 2% variance, some minor bookkeeping errors. What they found was catastrophic. Singapore Vault was missing 87 million ounces, London missing 103 million, Zurich missing 81 million, Delaware missing 69 million, total missing silver 350 million troy ounces. That's 29% of everything Brink's claims to store. Here's the scale of that number. Global mines produce 771 million ounces yearly. The missing Brink's silver equals 45% of 1 year's total worldwide production. If you wanted to physically replace this phantom inventory, every mine on Earth would need to dedicate half their output for 12 months straight, and nobody else could buy any silver for any purpose during that time. It's an impossible situation. Now, here's where it gets critical. When Lloyd's discovered this fraud yesterday, they immediately called an emergency meeting with Brink's executives. Lloyd's delivered an ultimatum, and I have the exact wording from the compliance leak. Lloyd's told Brink is they have 72 hours to physically restore all 350 million ounces to the vaults, or Lloyd's cancels every insurance policy effective January 15th at 6 p.m. London time. Without insurance, Brink's cannot legally operate vaults. Without operational vaults, 1.2 billion ounces of customer silver enters legal limbo. Every ETF storing metal with Brink's faces forced liquidation. Every sovereign nation with reserves at Brink's loses custody guarantees. Every allocated account becomes uninsured. The compliance document analyzes whether Brink's can meet this 72-hour deadline. The analysis is brutal. Brink's would need to purchase 350 million ounces of physical silver and get it delivered to vaults within 3 days. The document breaks down available supply sources. Spot market purchases might yield 12 million ounces before prices spike so high that buying becomes impossible. Emergency ETF redemptions might provide 34 million ounces, but that creates a circular problem since Brink's would be liquidating customer accounts to fix customer account problems. Direct purchases from mining companies might get 8 million ounces because miners can't speed up production on 3 days' notice. Raiding industrial stockpiles by paying 200% premiums might yield 19 million ounces. Emergency sales from sovereign reserves might provide 27 million ounces if diplomatic negotiations move impossibly fast. Add all that up, and Brink's can maybe acquire 100 million ounces maximum. They're still 250 million ounces short. The compliance officer, his assessment is direct. Brink's cannot physically obtain sufficient silver to satisfy Lloyd's ultimatum, regardless of how much money they spend. The silver does not exist in deliverable form anywhere on Earth within the 72-hour window. Brink's will fail to meet the deadline. Lloyd's will cancel insurance. And then the cascade begins. The document projects exactly what happens hour by hour after Lloyd's cancels coverage. At hour 0, Lloyd's issues a public statement announcing insurance termination due to inventory fraud. Brink's confirms they cannot restore physical backing. At hour 2, financial regulators in every jurisdiction suspend Brink's vaulting licenses. Major silver ETFs like SLV and PSLV that store metal with Brink's receive emergency orders to liquidate positions and exit custody. At hour 6, these ETFs announce forced selling of 420 million ounces of paper silver equivalent. At hour 12, COMEX traders recognize the liquidation wave coming and start massive short campaigns to profit from the collapse. At hour 24, silver price enters free fall as hundreds of millions of paper ounces hit the market simultaneously. At hour 72, the price stabilizes at the new equilibrium, where physical buyers absorb all the panic selling. That equilibrium price, according to 3 independent risk models in the document, $29 per ounce. The current price, $84. That's a 65% collapse in under 4 days. Silver doesn't gradually decline. It implodes violently as ETF liquidations and short sellers create a synchronized avalanche. The document explains that $29 is where Eastern governments, industrial users, and physical buyers step in and absorb everything available. Below $29, supply vanishes completely because miners shut down operations and private holders refuse to sell. Now understand what this means for different types of silver holders. If you own paper silver through ETFs, futures, or certificates, you own exposure that will be liquidated at collapse prices. Your shares get converted to cash based on wherever the market trades during liquidation, probably somewhere between $29 and $40. If you own physical silver coins or bars in your own possession, you own real metal that maintains value. If you own allocated silver stored at Brink's facilities, you own a legal claim to metal that may not exist, and you'll be fighting in court for years to recover anything. The document also reveals something even more disturbing. Brink's stores strategic silver reserves for 14 different countries, including Germany, Singapore, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Malaysia. Germany alone reports 67 million ounces held at Brink's. If the fraud ratio of 71% actual versus declared applies to sovereign reserves, Germany actually has 47.6 million ounces and is missing 19.4 million ounces worth $1.6 billion. When these nations discover their reserves are phantom inventory, the diplomatic crisis will be massive. The compliance officer predicts these countries will immediately repatriate all precious metals from Western vaults, establish their own Eastern custody systems, and accelerate the shift away from dollar-denominated commodity markets. Here's what makes this even worse. Brink's knows this leak happened. According to the document, Brink's hired crisis management firms yesterday and allocated $340 million to suppress this story. Their strategy has 5 parts. First, discredit the whistleblower by attacking their credibility and motives. Second, get court orders blocking document publication using national security claims. Third, lobby regulators to delay releasing audit results while Brink's scrambles to acquire silver. Fourth, coordinate with financial media to minimize coverage and frame this as a minor accounting issue rather than systematic fraud. Fifth, pay analysts to issue statements claiming vault operations are normal and customer assets are protected. This suppression campaign started 11 hours ago. That means some of the financial news you see today and tomorrow may already be compromised. Analysts telling you everything is fine might be getting paid by Brink's. The entire media apparatus is being deployed to keep you calm until after the collapse happens, ensuring maximum losses for regular investors while connected insiders exit their positions quietly. The compliance officer who leaked this document included personal recommendations at the end. They wrote that their professional obligation extends beyond regulatory reporting and that individual investors deserve warning. The recommendations are direct. First, immediately verify where your silver is stored, and if it's at Brink's facilities, transfer it somewhere else immediately. Second, exit all paper silver positions before January 15th and convert to physical metal with direct possession. Third, prepare to buy physical silver aggressively when price hits $29 because that's a generational opportunity. Fourth, document everything you own in every custody agreement because legal battles will last for years. Fifth, expect extended delivery delays for months as the vaulting industry completely reorganizes. The document makes one final projection that changes everything permanently. After Brink's collapses, silver markets split into 2 separate tiers that never reconnect. Paper silver, including futures, ETFs, and certificates, will trade at $29 to $35, reflecting zero trust in custody systems. Physical silver, including coins, bars, and verified allocated storage, will trade at $67 to $89, reflecting actual supply and demand. The premium spread between paper and physical becomes 100% to 150% permanently. This isn't temporary dislocation. This is permanent market structure change. Trust in paper-silver backing gets destroyed and never recovers. Let me give you the exact timeline. Today is January 13th. Lloyd's deadline expires January 15th at 6 p.m. London time. That's 53 hours from right now. Brinks cannot meet that deadline. Insurance cancellation happens automatically. January 16th morning, regulators suspend Brinks operations and ETFs announce liquidation. January 16th through January 19th, peak selling pressure drives price to $29. January 20th, physical markets establish new floors Eastern buyers, and industrial users absorb available supply. January 22nd, congressional hearings begin investigating the fraud. The entire collapse sequence completes in 9 days. This warehouse scandal is real. The compliance leak is authentic. 350 million ounces are missing from the vaults. Lloyd's cancels insurance in 53 hours. Silver crashes to $29 within a week. Physical and paper markets separate forever. If you hold paper silver, you have 2 days to exit before liquidation begins. If you're waiting to buy physical, $29 is your entry point before Eastern governments establish the new floor. The compliance officer risked their entire career to warn investors. The deadline is locked. The fraud is confirmed. Markets restructure starting January 15th. You've been warned.